Good evening, everybody, on this lovely, lovely Sunday, wherever you are in the world. I know it might be the morning, it could be the afternoon, or like here in the UK, it's the evening. Wherever you're reaching me from across this globe, because I know I've got people joining me from everywhere. Thank you so much for giving your time to watching my videos and joining me here at Together with Spirit. You are truly appreciated. I really mean that. I can't do the work that I need to do for the spirit world, and the spirit world can't do the work they would love to do and feel passionate about without you here with us. Somewhere deep inside the soul, we've all realized that we need to come together. There is something that we are all gaining from one another in the journey home back to the higher realms and to the light. So I want to say hello to all of you who are joining me here live. You are so appreciated. I can see, if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at the messages. If you're watching me on catch up, that's why I'm looking over. But however you're viewing me, thank you so much for being with me. And I'm getting loads of hearts coming in here, which is just so lovely. I love that. I can see Michaela. Hi. And there's Ace, Alex, Kazavac, is that? Sorry, my eyesight. Lucia Parkinson, Kerry Gardner. I've also got David Hoover. We've got Patricia here. I know I've got Louise Young. And I am Love, Light and Peace is joining us. I am vibing with that for a name. Well done. I love your YouTube name. I should have stolen that one. You got there first. Brilliant stuff. Oh, there's Bernard Goodhue as well. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year, everybody, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. It's going to be a good one. I feel like 2024 will probably be quite challenging, but in a good way. We are starting to move into a transitional period. The reason I say that, so I'm just going to move my iPad before I go knocking it off. The reason I say that is because we are in numerological terms moving towards the 8-9 years. So 2024, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4. We've got an 8 number. That means we're moving into infinity. These are the times of moving towards the ending. 9 is an ending number. It's also in Kabbalah and spiritual terms the number of ascension. So we're moving into some real powerful numbers here. 8 meaning infinity, 9 the ascension, and then as we move into 1 in 2026, then the new beginnings come, the new start. So, let's take the power of numbers here in the universe as having their own magic, because they really do, don't they? They numbers make up everything, or we can certainly fit numbers into everything that is ever made up. So, I feel there's power in this. And if we align ourselves with these energies and we use the energy of the universe, or learn to flow with the energy of the universe, life becomes much easier. Oh, there's Jack Williams. Hello, Jack. Must say shout out to you. And Anne-Marie, yes, Anne-Marie, hello. Nelsa Care Homes. Oh, I love that. Shout out. Hello. Okay, so I've got lots of questions here that I'm going to address tonight. And as usual, no doubt the time will just fly by, because when I'm doing anything to do with spiritual stuff, there is no time. We're in the eternal now. And before I know it, the time's just gone. But I'm going to do my best to cover as much as I can. I've got this microphone here, so if I keep leaning in, it's because I want to make sure that you can all hear me well enough. Hopefully you can all see me well enough. But, the important thing, I guess, is that you can hear the message. So I've got Jeanette, lovely name. Okay, all these hearts coming in. It's just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so, and shout out love to all of you and to everyone watching me on catch up. Now, let's dive right in, I believe. So we don't want to get bored, do we, watching? I'm going to go through the questions that have been put to me. And then as I work my way through these questions, obviously the conversational flow, I do these YouTube lives for you guys. So I'm so grateful for you giving me questions. Otherwise, I'd have to sit here and share the knowledge I think is interesting, and it might be completely different to what you want to hear. So when you give me your questions for these events, it's truly appreciated. Oh, and the transmission is perfect, Patricia's saying. Fabulous. Thank you so much. That's what we like to hear. Honestly, sometimes I do say to my clients, it's easier to talk to the dead than it is to the living through technology. Technology definitely lets me down many times, whereas the spirit world really, on the balance of things, hardly ever let me down in their communications. And I find it easier to be in touch with that other world than my world here through computers. Right, so let's dive in. Now, I've received this lovely question. Now, I do believe when I get two questions that are coming in on the same vein or more, that that is meant to be, and that's what I'm meant to be covering tonight. So I'm going to talk about power animals. Oh, there's Peter. Hi, Peter. Lovely to see you. Well, I can't see you, but I can feel you. I can see you in my mind's eye. Okay, so spirit guides and spirit power animals. So I've got two things here, two questions been sent to me, and I'm going to cover them. So the first one comes from Jodie Curry, and she said to me, in a guided in a guided spirit guide meditation a week ago, I received a stunning visual of a proud grown male deer, a stag with massive antlers. Tonight I step outside my house to go to my car, and there is a young stag with smaller antlers stood between two cars at the end of my path. It scarpered as soon as I moved, but not before we looked at each other a few seconds. My question is, can I afford to assume that these guides are telling me this is my spirit animal? And was this definitely synchronicity? So that's the first question. So I'm going to cover spirit guide animals. Just to wet your whistle, I'm going to cover ascension symptoms tonight. I'm going to cover the aura and color, spirit lights, a whole lot of things. So stay with me. But I'm going to do the spirit animals first because I want to share with you about stag. It's beautiful. Now, the second question that I got given that relates in a similar way is from lovely follower to the YouTube channel here, which goes by SP2314. Shout out. Hi, Claire. I'm so looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. That obviously is of today. I have a question and wondered if you could give me your thoughts on this. What is the connection between the animals, deer, butterfly, robin, or other beautiful birds, and our loved ones in spirit? 2 days ago, I finally decided to remove some stuff that was a painful reminder of my mum's passing. And I'm so sorry about that. I can understand how difficult that must be. That evening, I went out for a walk and saw two deer near my path. They were close, and one of them was curious about me as I was watching him. He started coming towards me, which is very unusual for a deer. I wondered if there was a connection between removing stuff and seeing these lovely animals. Okay, so both of you, I want to come out to both of you in my answer here because they both tie in. Okay, so let's try and get this all nice and succinct for you because I plan it all in my mind. Obviously, I know what I want to say to you guys, and then I start talking, and I just have to trust that what comes out is what you need to hear. So going back to Jodie, then she said she saw. She stepped outside her house and there was a young stag with small antlers. Okay, now the stag and the deer are absolutely beautiful power animals. When we see animals in the spiritual dimensions of life, or when we see animals in this life behaving in ways that we wouldn't expect, like these deer coming forward when you would expect them to be in hiding and things, when we see animals, we should never ignore them. Animals are totally in alignment with the universe, the energy of the universe, of Mother Nature herself. They are much more in tune with the spiritual dimension of life for this reason, because they're in the moment. So, absolutely, as animals are conscious sentient beings, when they cross over into the spirit world, when they leave this physical body behind, they are consciousness. So they exist in the spiritual realms as well. Now, just like we share the world here with the animal kingdom around us, we don't do it too well, but we do share that world. It is the same in the spiritual dimensions because that consciousness has gone on too, or cannot be destroyed, perhaps is the best way to put it. So it is true that spirit animals do come forward often and guide us when we become more spiritually aware, or guide us probably anyway, but probably people don't pay any attention if they're not spiritually aware. But you might notice as you start to awaken that the animal world are interacting with you in ways that you hadn't noticed or hadn't happened before. Now, for lots of people, they awaken when they lose a loved one because the pain of losing a loved one drives them inside themselves to feel that connection with their loved one. What happened to the eternal soul, the animating presence of their loved one? Could they possibly really just have died and be it? It makes no sense to most of us. And when you stop to think about it, the point of being on this planet for maybe 90 years if you're lucky, 100 if you really luck out, in the scheme of billions of years of this universe, really makes no sense at all if all we're here to do is just be some mechanical organism that produces life. I mean, what would be the point there? What would be the point other than, for us to experience surviving, basically? There needs to be, and there is, a much greater picture, a much greater intelligence behind it, and I think than we can ever possibly imagine. And part of that intelligence is the spirit world in the animal form, coming forward, guiding us, being with us, forming sentient, loving connections with us, and helping us to awaken and to learn that our loved ones walk with us still, and that we are all one, ultimately connected in this field of consciousness that contributes to the universe being consciousness of itself. It's just incredible. I hope you're following me with what I'm saying there. So, in a guided spirit guide meditation, Jody said she saw a stunning visual of a male deer. Now, male deer, if they present themselves to you and you're seeing antlers, I don't know if you guys know, but antlers are actually considered from antiquity times to be magical. The antler has, and horns even, has such um, mythical, magical meaning. So when you are seeing, any of you who, if you see in meditation a stag, then that has huge meaning. Stags are powerful animals. They can be quite aggressive sometimes, or territorial sometimes. Obviously, they will butt antlers together to protect and to look after those that are their responsibility in this world. But the antler, so it's seen obviously a lot of times as a display of masculinity. The stag is seen as the masculine, the divine masculine, the strong, the protector. So if you're seeing stag, you're being protected. It's also encouraging you to embody the divine masculine in you, to protect yourself, perhaps, to become more assertive, to become more of a leader, to be creative, but to also bring into fruition that which is inside of you, to come out of you, to take the lead, to be assertive, to manifest, is what I'm trying to say. So the masculine in the stag, if you're seeing that in meditation or in everyday life, if the stag presents themselves to you, you're being given a chance to connect in with the universe. The universe is communicating through the presence of that stag to say, this is what I represent: your masculine side, your strength, your ability to lead, your ability to be decision making. Yes, they can be a little bit dangerous or aggressive, so you've got to keep that in balance. But the antler itself, being very magical, also represents rebirth, transition, and resurrection. So because antlers obviously can come off, and they are generally in stags and deers grown every year, and reindeers as well, then they are a representation of resurrection. So for SP, I've forgotten your number, SP134, whatever it was. I'm trying to remember. 2314, nearly got there. Seeing the deer 2 days after you cleared out some of your mum's belongings because of her passing. This is really reflecting back to you the transformation, the moving into the new, the resurrection of also mum, And also the fact that deer, being the feminine, the opposite to stag, deer is bringing in grace. Deer is all about grace. Deer um, are much more gentle and calmer than the male stag. They are majestic. But both stag and deer represent your spiritual ascension. They are incredibly spiritual power animals. When they present themselves in your life, they are really directing you into understanding the spiritual aspect of the universe and understanding that you are that eternal consciousness, that the divine is embodied within you, that you have a spark of power so incredibly powerful beyond any kind of nuclear power that you could ever imagine. You are the creative force from which everything, including life, springs from. And stag and deer are inviting you to get in touch with that aspect of yourself. So, answering both of your questions, if you like, as one, yes, the animal kingdom definitely do communicate to us through the spirit world. Yes, you can take it that if you are seeing stag in meditation, that you are being shown your power animal for now. Now, don't forget, when we are growing and learning spiritually, it's very common for a guide, whether that's a human guide, an angelic or higher being of light, or whether it's a animal spirit guide, to come forward at the time when you need them, based on what it is that they are bringing, they are representing, because it's about symbolism, what those animals symbolize. So for both of you here that I'm answering your question for, you needed this symbolism of stag and deer, the magic that's in the universe, the fact that antler represents that magical rejuvenation, new beginnings, being able to resurrect, that there is no such thing as death, that life is continuum and it is just a cycle or a line, just your life just continues no matter what. Wow, I'm glad that Nelsar Care Homes. Thank you so much for saying wow. Thank you for a wonderful piece of insight. My pleasure. Hi, Claire. I lost my son suddenly last December. I kept hoping to see signs from him so much. Oh, Valerie, I am so sorry. I know you haven't lost your son. Your son will be with you. He is not lost, but you have been soul wrenched away from him, and the agony that that causes, I can totally understand, because of the soul connection, because of the energetic connection, and because physically you have lost him. And physically, you can't hear his voice, you can't laugh with him. You've been robbed of these precious moments in life too soon. And I'm really, really sorry to hear that. So, the thing about signs and the thing about seeing things like birds, butterflies, all of these majestical animal beings that we share life with, is that the spirit world will use them. They will connect with us in our minds and draw us to looking at these animals when the learning, when the teaching is right for us. We can overcook this, we can overlook it, we can overdo it rather, and obsess about it. So my first thing to Valerie would be, as we're talking about all of this, ask for a sign and then just allow it to go. Our loved ones will do their best to let us know that they're okay. But when we have such a degree of loss, like the loss of a child, where we literally feel like a part of ourselves has been ripped away from ourselves, because the souls that were so entwined in unconditional love have moved apart and are existing in two different worlds for the time being. It can be very difficult to feel in tune with the spirit world. We become very, very grounded. And sometimes then we can be obsessing or looking for signs everywhere. If you can get to the point where you can say, if you're there, can you show me what you can show me? Not, I'll believe it if I see this, because they might not be able to produce that for you. And then there's comes disappointment and disillusionment. Just, I'm open, I'm ready to receive the signs. I know you will give them to me when you can and in the way that you can. and they will come. They will come. We can explain them away. We can sometimes think it's wishful thinking. I always think, going back to what Jodie was saying, can she take it that the stag is her spirit animal? A rule of thumb in spiritual progression with mediumship and with all spiritual practitioners really is to ask the spirit world if they could show us a sign. So, for instance, is the stag, am I correct in understanding, spirit, that the stag is my spirit animal? Would be the question that you'd put out to your guides. And you would follow that up with, if I'm understanding this correctly, please can you show me another stag within, I don't know, 7 days, 14 days, whatever. You can ask in that way. Now, this is where you got to then just let it go and then just allow stag to show itself to you in whichever way that's going to happen. Because it might be that it comes through an actual stag. It might be that it comes through somebody gifting you a tea towel with stags on it. It might be that you walk into, I don't know, a restaurant and there's a big picture of a stag right there in front of you. It might be that, you see it on the side of a van coming past you, or you see a registration number that looks like it's spelling out stag. It could be that you see stag in your dreams, or that it comes on in a song or music. However this is going to come to you, now you've just got to stay aware. Just stay aware and stay awake. And the universe does communicate to us in this way. We are the universe. We are the universe being conscious of itself. So it will help us in the way that it can. But we do sometimes, Valerie, have to let go of the need and just trust. And then when we're not blocking that communication because we need it so much, because if in spirit they feel like, oh my goodness, she's not ready for this yet, she's going to miss it, she's going to be too grounded or whatever it is, they'll wait until you are ready to receive, because of course they don't have time like we do, and they know that you can't die and that you're going to be together again. So there is no hurry in that way or sense of the meaning. It'll just be given at the right time, divine timing. It's so frustrating for us all here. We lose, all of us, throw our toys out the pram, lose our faith at times, question it all, get frustrated, ask why do we have to suffer? Why do we have to go through so much pain? Why have we been torn apart from those that we love? This is why I dedicate my life to helping people understand their eternal nature, so that they can look at the life from the soul perspective and start to see the deeper hidden meanings. Now, occult, that word that people shy away from because they've misunderstood it, because they were always told that it meant dark magic or dark practices. Occult literally just means hidden from sight. Occult, from the French word occulter, eye. It just means hidden from sight. That aspect of reality that is hidden from sight. We have to go within the soul. We have to connect in with it. There's nothing dark about this. We are not practicing magic or doing devil's work, connecting in with our soul, seeing all the hearts and the smiley faces and everything. It's so beautiful. Seeing 100% go up. Oh, you guys are brilliant. Kerry's saying here, what does seeing 4 different breeds of dog from large to tiny and a large cat mean in a dream? The large dog was leaning over me, so lovable. Well, just literally off the top of my head, what I'd suggest first of all is look up the meaning of power animal, dog and cat for once. But dogs are obviously pack animals, and the fact that you're seeing them from little to big is kind of representing family to me, and that spiritual soul family is around you. You're seeing them in your sleep. Dogs are very protective. They represent unconditional love, don't they? They are man's best friend. You're seeing the spirit world coming around you, trying to let you know you're never alone. You are in a soul family, both here incarnate in this world of suffering, because we're in a physical form, and in the spiritual dimensions too. And cat is, they've always been worshipped, haven't they, cat, for being able to see the hidden, being able to see through what we can't see. The Egyptians absolutely loved cats, didn't they? So that, we're going right back thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. The cat is a very spiritual symbolism there for you. It's your psychic awareness. It's being able to open your eyes and see that which cannot be seen. So put the two together and it's like, we're here. We're here. Go within. Trust. We're talking to you through your sleep. We're showing you the symbolism to help you understand. This is the way we communicate. To me, symbolism and the way the spirit world communicate is much like us communicating through emojis these days. You can relate, can't you, a lot more through a picture than just a word. If you say I love you, but you follow it up with a red heart or hearts like this, or loads of different color hearts, or however, it has so much more impact than just saying I love you. It just that could be I love you, or it could be I love you so much. It doesn't mean anything, but add the emoji in and we get the power behind it. And that's why the spirit world communicate in symbolisms. You're loving this tonight. Look, it's so helpful that you can press these hearts and smiley faces, because I'm interacting with you. I'm watching you all. I'm part of you. I feel you here with me. I am so, so, so grateful. Now, I'm going to move on because time's ticking and I've got to get through a lot. Okay, now just before I move on to the next question, I just want to highlight to anybody watching me here on this video, and you guys, you special souls joining me for this little soul journey together here tonight. I want to draw your attention. If you're in the UK, sorry to everybody worldwide, but I just want to make an announcement that on the 1st of March 2024, got to remember what year I'm in because we are timeless, eternal beings. At 7 p.m. UK time, I'm going to be doing a talk on the power of soul connections. And I've just been talking about that, about Valerie and how it feels to be wrenched away, and the soul connections and the love and the soul family that we are moving in and never alone. I'm going to be talking about really the power of the soul and how powerful soul connections are. So I will be covering Earth family and soul family. I'll be covering karmic and catalyst. I'll be talking about twin flames, soulmates, life partners, and really the power behind soul connection, how it is enabling us to heal and move into higher consciousness. If you would love to hear me talk on that, I'm going to be at the College of Psychic Studies, I said, on the Friday, the 1st of March at 7 p.m. with special guests. And my lovely mum is going to be there with me. I don't think I've told her the date yet. She's just hearing this. She's with us now. She knew she was coming, but there's the date, mum. God, scatty head me. 1st of March, that's a Friday. My mum will be helping to run that evening with me, field any questions and all that kind of thing. So it's going to be a lovely evening, but it's sharing the knowledge that the spirit world have given me, that White Feather and the guides have given me about the soul connections. It's a sort of an insight into everything I've gained through the readings that I'm doing and the soul healing work I'm doing. So if you're interested, and I can see some of you are, which is fantastic, go to the College of Psychic Studies website, and you can then search on their events page to find that talk, Friday the 1st of March 2024, and you can book on and they will handle all the bookings for you. Okay, so you just need to go through to that website, their website. Okay, right, moving on. Connection. Okay, so as we move, we're talking about consciousness and its ability to survive and exist beyond the physical body. And I found it really interesting what lovely Jack put to me. So I'm going to move on to Jack's question. I'm going back to my phone here just so that I can read it. Okay, so Jack asked me, okay, what are your opinions on deja vu? Have your guides told you anything insightful about it? Sounds more fascinating after learning about the soul and the different spheres. Now, Jack's read my book. So in Heaven Sent, which is this book here, I write about soul connections, the soul, and our soul journeys, the eternal nature of them, and incarnation and reincarnation and all of that. So he's saying to me that it's become more fascinating to think about deja vu as well. You see, this is it, isn't it? You open up Pandora's box when you start to spiritually awaken. And let me tell you, it never stops. I always thought I'd get to, what am I, 27 years into this, I think now. I mean, it just keeps on giving. You never, ever, ever learn it all. And if you think you have, then you really haven't. That's when you know you're really not spiritually awake. When you think you know more than others and you think that you've learned it all, that means you're going to go back to what's like Monopoly, go past go again. Okay, so deja vu. I have heard from the spirit guides about deja vu, Jack. I've also heard from scientists in this world about deja vu. So I'm going to amalgamate that a little bit. Deja vu, it's the weirdest thing, isn't it? When you suddenly feel like, oh, hang on a minute, everything's unfolding, and I've seen this all before. Oh my goodness, and it's trippy, isn't it? Isn't it? I love deja vu. So trippy when it's all unfolding, and you as the observer, you just feel like, huh, I've seen this. I've seen this. This is now tripping me out. That is, there's different theories on it. Dr. Julia Mossbridge, who is probably the most recognized expert on time and consciousness at the moment on our beautiful world, she talks about the fact that time doesn't behave at all like we think it does. I remember once she took a tea towel for me and she held it like this, and she was like, well, the we think time runs linear, but time, and she bent the tea towel, time can do this, time can go like that, it can be either down or up and curl back on itself. My brain just wants to go because time is something I just can't get around. I can know within me the eternal nature of myself, the timeless aspect of me. I started at the beginning saying how time just flies when you're connecting in with the spiritual side of life. Time just disappears, it no longer exists. Or one person one day can say to you, oh God, the day has really dragged today, while you feel like the day has absolutely flown and you don't know where it's gone. So actually, time is very subjective. We experience it in very different ways to actually how we logically calculate time, if that makes sense. It's neat and tidy in our minds with 12-hour day or whatever and a 24-hour clock. That's all neat and tidy. We've got seconds and minutes, and then we've got calendars and months and years, but actually we don't experience time like that at all. It's very fluid, and time doesn't behave at all like we think it does. Where it comes to consciousness, then, when our consciousness can, because it can exist outside of the physical body, it can almost time jump. You might have heard of timelines. In other words, we can tap into different moments in time that are all unfolding and experience that ahead of ourselves. So Dr. Julia Mossbridge believes that, probably with regards to deja vu and premonitions, because she's done so much scientific research into all of this, she believes that our consciousness in some way, shape or form travels ahead of itself down these timelines or on these well, I don't know what they are, journeys, time holes, who knows, whatever you want to label it. And that as we go ahead of ourselves, we have seen it somewhere before. And then when we catch up on that time, we recognize it. Trippy stuff. We might see that in our sleep. We might astral travel. It may well be that everything is all happening in the eternal now, in our spiritual sense of the word. And an aspect of our soul is still in the spirit world at all times, obviously, because we can't be cut off from it. And the soul knows, it knows what we're doing here, because the soul is beyond time. So we may tap into our soul awareness. The brain might not filter out in the way that it normally does. And in pops deja vu. So I absolutely do have understanding of this. And White Feather talks about the fact that because the soul is eternal, he talks about it being a soul data field, that we are holding all the data of our Akashic record or our life record within the field around us. And therefore, it's a bit like we can tap into a file and access it, maybe a bit prematurely ahead of ourselves, who knows. But I love deja vu. It's a bit of a conundrum. So I'm seeing all the faces and the shock signs. I love the shock signs. Okay, what's this? I know, Claire. Hi, Claire. Whenever I have a reading with all different mediums, my mum's spirit never comes through first. It's always my granddad's spirit that come first, and I wasn't really close to him. Okay, I can address that. And Lucia says, Claire, why do people have so many challenges, and why does Source God can't just have us living on the other side in peace and tranquility? Great question. So happy you're in the, what does that say? Me and I can't see it. It's obscured. Sorry about that, Mark. Your comment's just a bit obscured at the moment. It might pop up. I might be able to see it a bit better. Okay. Yes, so that's deja vu and time, and I will come back to those other questions there. But just very quickly, before I come back to lovely Jack's question, Anil, sometimes when our loved ones cross over, they are very gentle in nature, or they may be, they might have been shyer in life, they may not be forthright, and feminine energy can be very gentle for mediums to perceive or pick up. And so when we have readings, quite often our ancestors come in before the main communicator for the medium's benefit more than yours even, because if you have, like, for instance, in your case, a granddad that comes in first, it's because their energy, probably the masculine energy, is probably strong. The medium can perceive them. Maybe granddad's energy is more closer to these earthly levels. So the medium gets tuned in, and then granddad helps the medium meet your mum's level, frequency, energy, where she's resonating at. So it happens a lot to lots of people. And that's why I always ask anyone who comes to see me, just keep an open mind, because I might well bring through other ancestors. Please don't cut them off or think that's not who I want to hear for, because those ancestors will have a reason for coming. They will be bringing you healing, and they will want to help you connect with those that you want to connect with. Plus, they know better than you what you need, and what the medium needs, by the way. I'm pointing to myself in this case. But so, who comes through is meant to come through on the day. But that is probably why that happens to you. And as to Source and God, why can't we all be living on the other side in peace and tranquility? It is because Source, God, energy, consciousness, I like the term the all, as the Egyptians called it in the Hermetica, and even before that, the Sumerians, and going beyond that. They would call it the all, or Anna, or there was different words that mean the all. An, Anan, Amun, all means the all. So the all that's everything, is a part of us, and we are a part of it. It can't exist without us. We don't exist without it. It is beyond labeling, beyond words, just like in the Tao Te Ching, where Lao Tzu says that this is called the Tao. The Tao has no meaning. The word has no meaning because we're trying to describe that which is ineffable. So God, Source, to me, that's love, the energy that creates everything. If it didn't allow for being able to create anything at all, if you are in oneness, in Source, in tranquility, in peace, in oneness, in nothingness, in essence, then you are never going to experience anything. There won't be an experience. It will just be bliss, peace, nothingness. You won't even know yourself as bliss and peace. So in all the dichotomy or the paradox is, in order for God, Source, to have any experience of itself, of the universe, of reality, sorry, I nearly dropped my phone, having any kind of experience, for you to have any kind of experience, you have to experience duality. So you choose to come into a world of duality. You are not forced in by Source. You are created from Source, given divine consciousness. You are divine energy, and then you came into a world of duality. And of course, in duality, where there is joy, there is the opposite. There is sorrow. Where there is, comfort, there is pain. Where there is up, there is down. Where there's left, there's right. Where there's cold, there's hot. Where there is dark, there is light, and vice versa. It can be no other way. You cannot understand tranquility and exist in tranquility if you've not experienced the total opposite. So, if you like, we are the universe, we are the aspect of the universe that has volunteered to come into an experience where you're going to be able to experience the polarity of everything before you return once again back to oneness and the love and everything, that all that there is. But of course, you knew before you entered into this lifetime that you are indestructible consciousness, that you are divine, eternal nature, that you are source energy. Your soul knows that. So, really, you are not being put into a world at the soul level. You're not being put into a world of anything that you can't cope with. But I don't say that lightly, because many of you will know that I went through a year last year of terrible suffering. Um, and for the whole year, it was so incredibly challenging that, I challenged much of my understanding about life, and threw my toys out the pram. It's like, why do we have to go through this? Why do we have to have so much pain, so much suffering, so much hurt, so much trauma? I find it very upsetting now to watch people that are traumatized. However, I'm going to say that without that pain, that suffering, and that trauma, it is true, we don't really grow in awareness. We don't ascend. It's only from our learning of what's painful that we reach for the light. So, it is, like I said, it's the paradox. It is the paradox. And if we can make our peace with it, then we take the moments when life is great. We live in the now. We know that that is to be lapped up, because at some point there's going to be the other side of it. But that is the beauty of life, that we cannot lose each other, that we are always connected, that where there is love, there is always love, that we are source energy, and that we will go back into the light at some point. But we don't want to go back before we've achieved what we came here and chose to achieve. Okay. Peter saying, Claire, resonating so much with me tonight. Never impatient for signs now. I find they happen when least expect them, but when you most need them. Oh, I love that, Peter. Yes, totally concur with that. Okay. Okay. And I can see here there's another question about light. I must come to this. My goodness, we're going to run out of time again. Right. So let's just jump back onto Jack's question, because it went back on. He was asking me about deja vu, and then he said, do I know who Dr. Michael Newton is? So yes, Jack, I do. For those of you who don't know who Dr. Michael Newton is, he is a psychologist and a hypnotherapist. He wrote books such as Journey of Souls, and there was, I think, a trilogy of those. Can't think of the other two titles, but really interesting books where he worked with patients, took them back in hypnosis, and they journeyed into past lifetimes, and they worked through trauma and found out about, their reason for being incarnate in this lifetime. And Dr. Michael Newton put together his research and the common themes, basically, that he found from the many case studies that he's done over a lifetime. And he shares his opinions on why people incarnate and soul family and things like that. Very, very interesting. I didn't find my way to that knowledge, interestingly enough, until after the spirit world had educated me on it. And I found that fascinating, the way that you can be kept away from information until the right time. I found his work because I was trying to research, have I got what I've understood right? And I found him and many others. We are all coming at this from different angles, in different ways, and all concurring and sharing the same information, speaking at the level that we're qualified to speak at, to the people that are resonating with us, all sharing a very similar message. I always find that absolutely fascinating, the way we are collectively connected in consciousness, collective consciousness. Okay, Jack, so I hope that helps. And there was something else that you put to me, and the last one. Oh, yes, I must just cover this. This follows the natural question then, after Dr. Michael Newton. Do we see our lives play out before incarnating? Now, I don't believe we do. But, I mean, again, it's always the paradox. It's the dichotomy, the paradox. It's always a paradox with spirituality. So the soul will be viewing your lifetime in the now. So it is possible for the soul to dip in at any point in time and to experience that point in time whenever it wants to. So in that sense of the word, I guess the soul can be seeing ahead of time. What's time? Okay, going back to time again, we see we can try to understand this always, don't we, from our brain and this worldly perspective, and we can't really. But the soul is seeing beyond time. That's the best way to put it. So the soul will know beyond time, hence deja vu and all that kind of thing. But no, I don't believe that we actually watch our life all play out before we come into it and then come into it. What would be the point? We could experience it almost like a virtual reality. What happens is we draw to us as we incarnate the conditions, the circumstances that we need based on what we know we need to achieve or haven't mastered yet. So we will journey with soul family, and we will have, if you want, assignments, what I call soul assignments, but it's really what we've tasks we've set ourselves, or aspects of self that we've realized we haven't mastered yet. Those we enter into based on our level of consciousness, a level of ascension, a level of awareness, into the circumstances that are best for the learning that we want to achieve. Or it's not even learning, it's the remembering of what we are and the mastering of what we are. We are source, we are God, we are divinity, we are pure love, we are perfect within ourselves. But of course, as we enter into the physical body, the brain filters out much of everything, and then we have an earthly experience, and really do many of us totally forget who we really are. So that's why I'm always banging my drum here, trying to share as much as I can. Mark saying, after an amazing reading with you, I've now a totally different outlook on life. Oh, Mark, that is fantastic. Thank you so much. Heartfelt from me, because that's why I do my work. You know, you have to be tough doing this work. You have to have a bit of crocodile skin, because obviously you'll either be told on one side of things you're the devil, or you'll be told on another side of things you're fraudulent, and God knows what else. And everyone's got an opinion. I don't care anymore. It's an opinion. It's a thought in their minds. I know the truth within me. I know the heart space from where I'm coming from. And I know that your souls are resonating with mine. You'll find me, because we are creating our own little reality here in this world, because we're resonating at the same frequency, and you're ready for the message I bring. And Mark's comment is just so lovely. I really appreciate it, Mark, because it gives me the inner strength to know that, you know, I am doing light work here. I am helping people. I'm helping people to raise their awareness, to live more fully, to reach their fullest potential. Because when life gets difficult, this is the stuff that we fall back on that helps us deal with it. I don't know how people do. Okay, so let's move on then. Okay, so that's Jack's question. Okay, now I've got lovely Louise Young here. Obviously, I've seen her on the. I hope I'm not missing people out here. I hope my mind's keeping up with everything. Trying to keep on top of the technology, answer your questions on there, answer questions here, talk, give what I'm inspired to give. I hope I'm doing a good enough job for you guys. Okay, so Louise Young, you have said, my question is, during this time of awakening consciousness, isn't this leading on lovely? Upon our planet, some of us are feeling the clearing of past soul lives and dropping of density very intensely, causing all sorts of unpleasant ascension symptoms. Others seem to be breezing through this period. Why is this? Oh, good question. Um, I can see here, Nelsa Care Homes. I had a soul guide reading with you 3 years ago, and it opened up so much for me. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, it's great to know, because I'm moving into the soul guidance readings now permanently, because I believe that all my clients then get the best from the spirit world. I know lots of people used to me doing just the evidence-based stuff, the traditional mediumship, but I can work with the spirit world in so much more of an expanded way now. I'm moving into these soul guidance readings. So your feedback, guys, really, really helpful for anybody that finds their way to these videos, is suffering or is in need of help or is in need of spiritual guidance. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And David, oh, David Hoover, you changed my life also with your amazing readings. Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's not me, it's the spirit world. And just to see that, you know, that recognition coming through, it's everything to me. Okay, so ascension symptoms. I don't think anybody does get away with it, is what I'm going to say. I do think, Louise, if you're here with me now, watching this, resonating with these videos, you're in the front line, so to speak. There is a huge shift going on. We volunteered, isn't that crazy? We volunteered to be here at this time because there was going to be a huge shift. We have moved from what people say is the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. We're moving from the process-led ways. Jesus represented Pisces, the age of Aquarius, the systematic way, coming in with unconditional love in an age that was very dogma filled. Now we're moving. That's why the fish, by the way, is the sign of Christianity, because Jesus was in the age of Pisces, the fish. It's always astrological. Same as horns and antlers, by the way, just going back to that. Did you know that horns, the reason that if you look at any kind of symbolism from across the ages, it's always like the horned beast, or animals with antlers, animals with horns. You've got a Capricorn. Capricorn actually means horn. That word means horn. And Capricorn, being at the start of the year, which is where we're in Capricorn at the moment, is all about rebirth. It's about coming out of the darkness. Capricorn represents the light. We're coming out of the winter months. We've gone past the longest day, and now we are going to be moving more into the light. And so does Taurus with the bull, is representing the spring, moving into a new stage. So all of these, it's not everything has been spun on its head. What you learn about Pan and the horned beast and all these kinds of things, this goes right back to stargazing and to sun worship and to nature worship and the pagan times. So don't just believe blindly what you're told. Question. Oh, I've got lights flicking across me here. Oh, and that's one of the questions I've got to cover as well, isn't it? Anyway, so ascension symptoms. I don't believe that we do. I've got all the hearts coming up again. Oh, I love it when I say something that resonates. Okay, so I don't believe that we do all. Some people do breeze through it and others don't. But I do believe that us on the front line here, that are the first wavers in this next phase of awakening, moving into Aquarius, which is technology based, but it's also quite chaotic. It's about really breaking down a lot of the old process ways, and it's ascension in consciousness, because a technology connects us all, and it means that we are all connected in ways that we weren't, which means that we raise in consciousness. It's very destructive because obviously it means that we see more, we awaken more, we see through the system that we are born into, the matrix, if you want another word, you can say it, and then we start to make really fast, big change. We are right in that front line. And because we're being buffeted by the energies. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. That's why you cannot be destroyed. That is why you are an eternal being. Energy just transforms. It just changes form. It doesn't ever die. You are energy, are you not? If you are, then you cannot die either. It's as simple as that. So many times people, I'll put, look, I've got to see all the hearts and the faces coming up again. So many people question me saying, how do I know what I'm saying is true? Well, just in that fact alone, I don't know everything. I don't know everything about the spirit world. I can only ever share what I've experienced, my first-hand experience. But we do know that nothing energetic ever dies. It just transforms. That should be enough for us to realize and understand that you can't die. It's there for you. What happens after is a great mystery, and we only can get the insights through from the spirit world to the level to which we are able to receive that insight. So we must all be discerning. We must all go within and seek the truth, because we are the truth within ourselves. But you really, really are indestructible. So because everything is energy, and because you are at a level of awareness where you are waking up to certain realities, certain level of reality, certain truths, I suppose, in physical form, you are going to experience within your physical body quite a shaking up of things. I've had it expressed to me before, which I think is brilliant. Kathy Mingo, who's another spiritual practitioner that I'm very good friends with, she said to me once, it's a bit like trying to drive Fred Flintstone's car like a Ferrari. So I'm showing my age there because I know who Fred Flintstone is. But, the physical body has been evolving over time at a level of consciousness or awareness where the nervous system has been all about fear, fight, or flight. Now, because of this, because it was all about survival, if you think about it through much of our history, it's always been about survival. It's only since we've had more technology that we've been able to live, if you want, a more privileged, leisurely lifestyle. But the human body's not been geared for that. The human body's been geared to live with nature, to live one in packs, in groups, and for the nervous system to alert to us when we are in danger so that we can survive physically. So what happens with ascension symptoms is, as you start to move in consciousness and literally vibrate at a different level of energy frequency, your nervous system has to adapt. So now you're trying to make your Fred Flintstone car drive for you like a Ferrari. It's not very happy about that. It needs time to adjust, and therefore you experience these ascension symptoms. If you've had quite a quickening, as it's sometimes called, where you are suddenly awakening, where something happens, most of us are broken open either with a loss or something that happens in life that really challenges us, loss of jobs, breakups, whatever it is. If you are suddenly forced into ego death, which I also wrote about in Heaven Sent, and you have to see the world from a different way and a different perspective, that really challenges the brain, because the brain has received a whole load of programming and conditioning. In order to be able to move into a different perspective so that you can create your life a different and on a higher level of awareness, you then have to change the thoughts that have programmed your brain. The brain perceives this as dangerous, and it creates ascension symptoms. So I couldn't write all of this in Heaven Sent. So this is why it's good to be on these lives, because you get information from me that you can't get in books. So some of the ascension symptoms that I share here, if you've got Heaven Sent, you can have a look. But some of the symptoms that you might experience once you're ascending in consciousness, or basically moving in awareness, are really uncomfortable. Can I just stress here, spiritual awakening doesn't come free. It comes with its pound of flesh. It can be really, really, really painful. It is, this is where dark night of the soul comes from. I can see all your recognition coming up here of everything you're pressing. The dark night of the soul, it sometimes takes you to the brink of death. Where you get so unwell, it's not until you let go of the way that you have been conditioned, the way you're living your life, the thoughts you're holding, the perceptions that you have, that you can move forward. That's what life's about. This is the soul journey. So ascension symptoms can be anything, whilst the nervous system is now having to adapt because the brain has clicked the fear, fight, or flight response, because it's feeling insecure, because you are challenging the programming that's been in there. You could experience things like shakes and trembling. This is often where the Kundalini energy, by the way, is coming through you, where you are more awakened. You are allowing more energy of the universe to flow through you. You're becoming a more powerful being. And your body's got to adapt to that. Another thing, you might experience a goosebumps when your mind hears something. Say I'm talking to you and your mind hears something that you know is a soul truth. You can get goosebumps. You just know when the truth's been spoken. It's really common to get headaches. Why? Because it's the brain, the nervous system, the control center. You're having to lay down new pathways, new perspectives, higher states of mindset. It's not easy. It's not easy. I love that. Is practicing non-resistance important? Yes, this is all part of ascension. When you get ascension symptoms, non-resistance is totally the way to go. Allow, allow, allow. One of my favorite words. Try to go with the flow. If you try and resist, what you resist persists. The brain perceives danger. It tries to protect you, and then it will lump a whole load of ascension symptoms on you, because it will want you to stop. It will want you to take refuge, to become safe, to go back to your old habits and ways. It's trying to trick you into doing what it already knows because it feels safe in that. And your thing is to get rid of all of that. So you might have loss of sleep. This is really common. People wake up in the middle of the night because the brain doesn't switch off. It's processing all the new information. You can be really buzzing because you're getting information that is so mind blowing. You just want to think about it and process it and make sense of it. But of course, this is all still mind stuff. So be aware of that. Soul stuff is love, feeling, emotion, all of the just beingness. The mind stuff is still, I need to understand this. And so you don't sleep, you don't switch off well, you're walking around tired. It's all very normal. Now, the paradox again is that as more energy flows through you, as you spiritually awaken and you can draw more of the universal life force through you, you might actually find you need less sleep for a time. It's almost like going through puberty again. So you can really find that you are experiencing almost like teenager symptoms again with, chemical hormones all over the place. You could be buzzing on a high, endorphin rushes, Kundalini coming up. Kundalini is very real. I've had a Kundalini awakening. Let me tell you, you do not want to be messing with that stuff. Let it happen naturally. Wow. I'll do another video on that another time. You may also have lucid dreams, astral travel, which is another question that was put to me. And you can get flu-like symptoms. You can get flare-up of old health problems. Why? Because your body remembers everything. It stores the trauma. It stores the programming. It's remembering it all. And when you haven't dealt with trauma, when you haven't released the pain or faced the pain within you, sat with it, transformed it, allowed it, realized that you are stronger than your pain, that you are not your suffering. Until you've done that, you will have old flare-ups because the body will be constantly saying, hey, pay attention, you're not safe, you're trying to do something here that I don't recognize. This isn't familiar to me, because your brain works on automatic pilot most of the time, and you're trying to get it over and off automatic pilot so you can fly, you can lead the journey. I hope I'm making sense to you all. I won't go through all of this, but real indicators of ascension symptoms are things like loss of relationships, loss of work, losing everything because the new's got to come in, and the only way the new can come in, because your soul has recognized, hey, whoever, Peter, Debbie, I'm just looking at your names here, Michaela, you've leveled up. You don't need that lesson anymore. You've acquired the knowledge you need. Now it's time for a new initiation. So but you'll be bringing the new experiences. You will want to move away from the stuff of the past. Old music that you used to like is no longer resonating with you. Friends that you held as lifelong friends, you no longer have anything in common with them. It is destructive, but that is hugely positive. And I know that when you're spiritually awakening, sometimes you wish you could just go back to sleep with the rest of the population out there, and just be unaware, because ignorance is bliss, right? But how many of you would really want to go back to knowing less? I mean, you just can't anyway. Here's where you're at. You're here watching me. You've reached a level of awakening that can be very, very lonely sometimes, because you just can't find the people around you that you can vibe with, share this stuff with, learn this stuff from. Your soul's probably got a thirst for this knowledge, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Your soul would not have drawn you to my energy. So it's just so great having you all here, because this is what I'm talking about community. We can bring you all together. Louise is saying, I love your book, has a comprehensive list of ascension symptoms. Exactly. Yeah, we like our red pill. Yes, we do, Patricia. We do like our red pill. We wouldn't want that blue pill, nasty old blue pill. Okay, so that's the ascension symptoms. And so therefore, if you are going through those ascension symptoms and it's really painful, Louise, give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back, because it means that you are leveling up. It means you won't have to come into a lifetime and do that, this kind of lesson again, as painful as it is, because you're consciously moving through that lesson and consciously embodying the learning from it. So it's becoming who you are. You're embodying your new level of awareness. So as much as it sucks, and no human being on this planet gets away without suffering, None. We've all got a cross to bear. It's just you're doing it more consciously. So whereas a lot of people will do it in ignorance or not even aware really that they're creating havoc for themselves because they're not manifesting or living their lives in a way that is consciously aware, you are aware. You're much more empathic, so pain, suffering really starts to hit you more. Your nervous system has become more sensitive. It's the people that in the world that we would consider to be the really best of the lot, the empaths, the carers, the people coming from the heart space who suffer most with their nervous system, with depression, with anxiety, with panic, with all of this, because they're seeing what's going on and it's crazy out there, which is why you need to retaliate and go within. Retaliate, sorry, retreat. And no, don't retaliate, retreat and go within and find your eternal self and the peace within so that you can then deal with life that's happening outside of you. But I do believe that people are all going to have to do their initiations. I see them as initiations now and a leveling up. So if you're going through it, I do apologize for you. I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry if this sounds really cutting and harsh, but you need those lessons. Otherwise, you wouldn't have attracted them to you. All I want to say to you is you've got it. You have got it. Your soul wouldn't be drawing to you these experiences unless there was great meaning and purpose to it, and unless you were able to cope and deal with it at the soul level of life, you can guarantee, because everything is in polar balance, that when you are going down, you are also really coming up. So when you go down in the physical world, you are spiritually shooting up. When you have a really terrible experience in life, your heart opens, you become more empathic, more compassionate, more caring, more open, more aware. That means you are spiritually heading towards that light and that love. So hold that in your sight. Okay, so Sarah Amaretti, this also taps in with the comments that were on here as well. She asked me a question. Do spirit communicate with colours and sparks? I've had my eyes tested. I see quite significant colours, both in pitch darkness and in daylight around people. Is this more likely to be the aura that I'm seeing, or does spirit communicate via colour? So Sarah Amaretti, and also I'm trying to see where it was on here. Who was it? Who was saying to me about the light? I can't see it now. Anyway, so sorry. My mind is not good at coping with remembering everything. There's again, always a paradox. You probably are seeing the aura when you see colors around people. Now, do spirit communicate by color and light? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Why? Because everything is light. That famous spiritual text that said, God said, let there be light, and there was. Just in that sentence, basically sums up everything: consciousness and light. And it seems to be that photons and light is the means to which consciousness can even be produced in this world in physical form. Light forms everything. So because of that, light is obviously part of the electromagnetic field, and we are energy beings. We are electromagnetic, which means that our aura is full of color. And so, yes, we do see, many of us, with our mind's eye and then with the physical eyes, color around people. Once we start to exercise the pineal gland, as we start to open up and ascend, we start to experience more of reality. And yes, we do see colors. And like I said earlier, I was seeing the flashes of spirit going around. That was not my aura. That was spirit in the room, basically, willing me on, getting excited for me, just like when they see you getting excited and all these hearts and faces coming up. So spirit do communicate by light, but you also may be looking at your own aura. So when you're in the darkness, as you see the color around you and you're just laying there at night, unless you feel like someone's in the room with you, unless you feel another intelligence there, you probably are seeing your own aura. Now, lots of healers, they will literally see mists form and move and, morph in and out, and color within the mist or light within the mist. That can be their aura, or if spirit come in, they will sense the feeling of another intelligence has now moved into the energy field around me. I can feel that the presence of spirit is here. Spirit will communicate in orbs. They will communicate in light form. Quite often, if I'm communicating with higher intelligences, I see them as light rather than in any kind of earthly form. They've moved beyond the need for an earthly form, so they just communicate as the pure consciousness they are within light form. So it's both things. I've also been asked, how can I learn to communicate with my mum more in my dreams? Now, and the reason I'm saying this is you may see light within your sleep. You may communicate with the spirit world as light forms in your dreams. What you can do in answer to that question, by the way, is to put the thought out there before you go to sleep. I really like to connect with you in my sleep if I can, mum, and to remember it. And then just let that thought go and ask your soul to journey to where your mum is, connect, sit in the love together, and ask yourself to remember it. Jot down whatever comes to you when you wake up. But you might well see lights, or mum might come to you as light forms. So it's not always in dreams that spirit will communicate. If you're seeing flashes of light around you, sparkles, if you've had your eyes tested and your eyes are all coming back healthy and normal, then you can bet your life you're seeing parts of the electromagnetic spectrum that you haven't seen before. That's because your nervous system has become more sensitive. The pineal gland is being stimulated. So you are now a more finely tuned vessel, moving from your Fred Flintstone car more towards a Ferrari. You're able to do more with your body. Okay, so the last question of the evening, because I've been now an hour and 10 minutes, and you're all still here with me, which is absolutely fantastic. There's John Legington. Hello, John. How lovely to have you with me. Um, I'm living a good life, but I worry terribly about my wife who has had a serious heart condition. The worry never leaves me. How can I keep that worry at bay? I can't go through losing her. Oh, John, I know you're with a soulmate there. It is so, so, so painful. First of all, my healing wishes out to your wife. I'm so sorry she's got a heart condition like that. That must be a worry. And, it's the fear. The opposite of love is fear, and you're fearing her loss because you know the love that you share, you will find it painful to be without her. I totally, totally understand that. The words of consolation, is that the word? Yeah, the comfort that I want to bring you, I suppose, is just hang on to the knowledge that we come into this time when we're meant to, we go out when we're meant to. The spirit dimension of life is so beautiful. The summer lands are so beautiful. And the love that we are and that we come from is so, so divine, is the only word I can say. Having experienced it, been tapped into those spiritual dimensions that are so high, there is nothing like it. If we could see the love that our loved ones exist in, we would never hold them back, even though the fear of losing them is unbearable. And that's because we're looking at it in separation. We're still looking at our soul bonds with our loved ones as physical, and that we lose them, that we're separated from them. You are never separated. Where there is love, there is always love. John, I would say start getting into your soul connection. Start connecting with the soul of you and your wife, because that is where you are. Your soulmates, you're connected at the soul. You would have recognized her. You would, when you met her, you knew she was the one. You would know that. How do you know that logically? You don't. You know it because the soul knows you. Know each other already. You've been together before. You came into this lifetime to be together. You will be together again. And you cannot ever be separated. So whilst you've got your beautiful wife with you, Be in the moment, enjoy the now. Don't live in the future in the fear of the loss. You have no idea what day you are due to go home into that unconditional love either. What you have been guaranteed is the now. You have each other right now. Make the most of it. Hold on to the memories, program the brain, put it all in there so that when one or the other of you has to go home, you can go into the soul space. You can recognize that you never only connected from a physical perspective. It wasn't just a physical attraction, it was never just about loving that person's mind. It was always about the connection, the love, the feeling safe within one another, the security. You see me for who I am. You see my soul, and you've got my back. Okay. Unconditional love. That goes nowhere. They are never away from you. Those that you love, they walk with you always, and you and your wife will walk together always. That is all I can say to you. Hold on to that truth. And you are lucky because other people have lost their partners without having any heads up that there is anything wrong. No time for preparation, no time to even get their head around it. And you don't know what the future is yet. So try not to dwell on it. What I'm trying to say is you've been given a day that others haven't been given. Live in that. Live in that joy. That would be what I would hope I can do for myself, and that would be what I would coach myself to do. Okay. So last question, Michaela Jane. Hi, Claire. On the night of my mum's funeral, something happened to me that I can't explain. It seemed like I woke to find myself. This is going to lead on lovely to what I've just said. It seemed like I woke to find myself floating over the greenest fields and the most beautiful trees I'd ever seen. There was dry stone walls, and it was so much like the Peak District where I live, but even more beautiful. I reached out with my arm but couldn't see it and called for my mum. I then floated into the trunk of a tree and then was suddenly back in my bed. It was so real, and I felt like I was actually somewhere else. This was not like a dream. I don't know what to think. Can you help me with an explanation? So, Michaela Jane, whenever you see this, I don't know if I've seen your name on here tonight, but if you're watching on catch up, I just want to let you know that sounds like astral travel to me. That was a journey out of the physical body where your consciousness, once you were asleep, your consciousness could journey. And it was not, your consciousness is not space time dependent. It doesn't have to stay so close to this physical body. It's just that whilst the brain is awake in the daytime, whilst it's taking in stimulus in this physical world, it's keeping your consciousness very much focused on this 3D reality, this earthly world. When you're asleep and the brain's switched off and it's healing and it's doing its thing, your consciousness has the freedom to travel. So, mum, given that your mind is on your mum, you've journeyed into the astral planes, which is the closest. The astral planes are the closest dimensions, the closest realities to our earthly dimensions. That's where you found yourself. You were journeying out of body, if you like, and then as you came back, you see, it would be so clear you'd remember it, whereas most dreams just disappear and they're gone. You can't remember them 10 minutes after awakening. This has stayed with you all that time because it was so real to you. It was like you were there. You were in the spirit dimensions. That's how easy death is. Death is an illusion. It's not real. David Hoover, you put a question to me right at the start of the evening, which is what happens if my loved ones move far away from me in the astral planes? If they go into the higher spheres of spirit, does it mean that you can't connect with them anymore? I just want to put your mind at ease. No, it doesn't, because where there is love, you are resonating together at the same frequency. So you will naturally come together. You will unite. The souls will unite as you think of one another. So wherever that is in the spirit dimensions or the astral planes, you will come and meet in that space, just like you met in this space, in this world, given it's a huge globe. You found each other. And what's more, when you have a soul connection, that just amazing thing of, oh, I know you. I know you. I know you inside out. You're the one. Or I've seen you before. Or how do I know you? How do I know you so well? The intensity of the soul connection. It goes beyond the mind. You can't work out mentally. What's going on here? How do I recognize this person? So if you can find each other on this planet with the billions of people that are here, right across the world souls connect. They connect from right across the world and find each other. Then you will find each other no problem in the spirit realms. So, yes, your loved ones will move into the higher planes of spirit. We want them to. We don't want them feeling so close to the earthly conditions that they're in the astral planes. We want them in the summer lands. We want them in the higher planes, up towards the Devacanic and into divine love, where we will, knowing it is there, aim to meet them there, won't we? We're all trying to get to that unconditional love, and they take us with them. We take them with us because we're holding that love for one another. So, gosh, I can see so many questions coming in here. It's absolutely amazing. And you're sharing. And oh, I just wish I could see them all. I'm so sorry if I've missed things, guys. I'm doing my best to give you as much information as I can in the time that we've had here. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and I will come back. But obviously, I've wanted to make sure that I've come on here with a kind of structure, that I'm not just waffling on nothing, and that I've answered questions that have been put to me and answered some of the questions that have been put to me live tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've got to say, John saying, in my work, in the end of life, can I know we go on? Thank you, Claire. God bless. Oh, God bless you, John, and to everybody else on here, whether you believe in God, whether you call it source, whether you call it the all, whether you just call it higher power. As my friend Neil Webb says, one mountain, many paths. It isn't the language we use, it's whether we connect in the heart and at the soul, whether the energy of us all comes together like this, united as souls with the same purpose, feeling connected, raising up into higher levels of awareness, feeling the love and the joy that comes from doing that together, seeking that greater insight, understanding more spiritually, living your life from an elevated state of awareness. This is what it's all about. Thank you so, so much for being with me. And I will try and look through all the chat. It disappears on YouTube, but otherwise send me your questions if I didn't answer any tonight, and I will do it on the next YouTube live. Can I just thank you all? Mwah, mwah, mwah. I can see you all coming in, for staying with me such a long time. I hope it's helped. I hope a little bit of light from me has come across, all the sprinkles and energy that I can bring you of soul power, my end, just to remind you how magnificent you really are. And I mean that. When I say these things, I'm not saying them from a trite, oh, I've got to have a catchphrase. You are magnificent souls. And I'm trying to help you remember that. Indestructible beings of light. How fantastic that we're all here together. It's miraculous. Thank you, everyone. I can see all your comments. Mwah. See you all soon. Bye for now.